All right, game number 3 kicking off right now. Really excited to see that this actually went to the ace match. I guess we got to see whether people were voting with their hearts or their heads this morning, and looks like we got a few people here with big hearts. 6,183 participants bet on TLO to win this series, and 18,186 on YoDa. So definitely a little bit lopsided, but if TLO wins this game, there's gonna be some major payouts. So we'll see, cross your fingers really hard, guys. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map, it's gonna be the green Zerg player representing Team Liquid. It's TLO.
The bottom position as the red Terran, YoDa Prime.
These colors actually worked out. Would have worked out if we'd done red and blue pretty perfectly, thinking on it. Blue for Team Liquid and red for Prime. But the silly, cheesy theme of this tournament must come first, as this is a tournament called The Fight Before Christmas, guys. Remember, anytime you do tweet about these games or at us, make sure to hashtag TFBC, The Fight Before Christmas. But, alright, so YoDa, I mean, that game was all kinds of weird, all kinds of funny, and all kinds of messy. Do you think he was really put off by that at all?
YoDa?
Yeah.
Put off by that?
You're like, well, he's willing to do weird stuff.
Oh, no, because if he does know TLO's name, he's got to be in the whole, like, TLO so creative department. That's why most people know TLO. So I don't know if put off's the right word.
I feel like...
But he goes...
Creative, by the way, is the wrong word. It's like mad genius seems like a more appropriate fit.
Couldn't it be both?
Why not both? I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
The crazy mad genius. Team Liquid player. TLO.
Yeah. We're going for a 14cc here. It's really not that dangerous to go for 14cc. In fact, even if you go for like a pool first, the lings don't get over here in time before it finishes. You'd have to actually go for like a 10 pool.
Yeah, the hatchery does come down. It's only 2 Zerglings for now. This is perfectly fine if you're just trying to dart across the map and maybe dodge at that Reaper. But you know, the Overlord went to the wrong base first. But you know, process of elimination. He now knows where YoDa spawned.
I mean, he won't be able to see like exactly like the 14cc definitely went down, but again, it won't. It doesn't matter that much. You'd have to actually not react to it, but preempt it to actually do anything about it. But this SCV, when you get it scout, it sees that maybe, you know, it's a pool first, but no big deal for YoDa, as YoDa didn't go for a Reaper, so doesn't have to worry about that faster queen.
But that's the thing, like, faster queen aside, he didn't get to see the gases, and that much kind of sucks, not getting up there to see what exactly, if there's going to be speed or not.
That's absolutely true. You know, one game TLO did go for speed, another game he didn't, so there's not really a whole like, well, he's like definitely this type of player.
This is the long con with this link, by the way. He went all the way around knowing the SCV would have to come this way.
Yes, it was. Kill it. Yeah.
Nice catch out of TLO. Good start to this series. But there's a bunker up, and that's going to cost him scouting information. So he'll have to use an Overlord to see what's going on, because there's no way these legs really get too much done. Yeah.
The merry-go-round's pretty okay for hiding builds, you know, in the back, as YoDa did on the Overgrowth. So TLO might have some difficulty scouting. YoDa, though, you know, while TLO's been kind of mixing it up, YoDa has been going for mech every game.
Yeah, but what do you think about this, like... Okay, no, I was gonna say, if he doesn't take a gas soon, this is the crazy mad scientist, whatever, TLO, because, like, how do you play gasless versus Terran for that long? It's
solar, right? No gas until, like, 7 minutes?
the sort of gasless build.
Yeah. Well, YoDa does go for a second gas, and I figured he was gonna go for Banshees again, and that's why I was like, well, he's been going mech every game too, so we're not gonna go to mech after that. But he throws down a starport. Okay, yeah, I know that was starport. I thought he would have done barracks, but that was just.
So okay, no tech lab? Question mark?
Maybe not. I mean, it could just be a Hellbat build, like an armory soon.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, well, I mean, if he does 1 or 2 more Marines, he could also just do that Marine medevac push. But yeah, no Banshees this time for TLO to worry about.
Well, as we said,
just a little bit later then. Not jumping the gun on it.
Okay, all right. So that's a good move. I mean, a Hellbat push wouldn't be terrible either. It is, I don't know, a little more risky, you could say. Banshees obviously can be used for good offense as well as really great defense, and Merry-Go-Round is a map that is commonly known for its roach play. That is a committal to not letting him scout you.
Like, let's take a look at what TLO saw there, by the way, guys. It's an abandoned tech lab and nothing else. What could this possibly be for?
Yeah, I wonder if he's hiding stim.
Now, if this was actually a scenario where he was hiding a second factory or something for Blue Flame, that's where you're like, whoa, that's insane. Yeah. That's so cool. but realistically, I don't feel like he hit anything with that.
Yeah,
that dedication.
Like, no one ever bothers to hide the fact that they're gonna get stim, and that would be the only thing you'd use Tech Lab for. So I don't know about that. Scan goes down. I think he wanted to see if it was like a 2-base layer, or well, he saw the roach as he scans, so now he knows it's roaches. Well,
roaches aside, I mean, it's the fact that he gets to that third and scans at the same time. It's all the information in the world he needs, because he A, confirms the third, and B, confirms the layer timing, or at least the lack of the layer timing more so. So for, YoDa say, like, he doesn't have to worry about rushing air out. This definitely gives him a little more comfort. Going mech yet again. Double armories this time, though.
Well, TLO not going to go for any shenanigans this game. Just regular upgrade, roaches. I gotta imagine he's going to go up to something where Roach Hydra Viper. That seems to be the ultimate end goal. If you're or Swarm Hosts, you don't really see. I mean, sometimes you see games where it is Roach Swarm Host against Mech Terran, kind of like you would against Protoss. But I feel like those are more rare than just the two options: Muta Swarm Host, or Roach Hydra Viper.
I'm just wondering though, like, so you're always gonna be putting on a little bit of pressure. You get a hell of a lot of Hellions to spare in the early game. Usually you're dancing around trying to do damage with them, but with the double armories, I'm really wondering if YoDa's planning to stock up more for that 150 supply push rather than go 2 dedicated early on.
I don't know. You can still do the push with double armory, but I feel like double armory is more like a late game thing. Although we have seen a couple of builds where they just stop going upgrades afterwards. It's kind of like an all-in, even off the 2 armories, which I don't know. I think I've seen like from Journey. We haven't seen it in so long. I miss that guy.
Actually, there's so many Alima leagues and stuff since we've seen him proper. It's a bit of a bummer, but okay. So the Roach is gonna track up. Feels really good at getting around from the backside and catching YoDa off guard today. Starts with the SCV, tries to go for the Hellions, but they're a little bit too quick. But the thing is, here's 3 Banshees, and this is a phenomenally large amount of damage, and it's not stopping at 3. He's going a little bit heavier into this. And whether you've got Hydras, whether you've got Queens, I mean, Banshees just do so much damage. They can trade out with Hydras pretty quickly. If you have enough of them, they start one-shotting them. I mean, it gets to the point in the game where Banshees snowball just as bad as Reapers do in the early game.
Yeah. I mean, they can seriously help out even if you do have those Hydras. They can actually take down a couple of Hydras themselves, and obviously Hellbats, if they get on top of Hydras, are pretty good as well. TLO will definitely want to kite here. Hellbats are so good against Roach as long as they can reach them. No Overseer. Ooh.
Yeah,
no Overseer.
That's going to be a big problem. Chance uses a couple of Hydras to keep them alive. Everything's rushing the front lines. He had the Spore Crawler for detection, but as big as that range was, it was just slightly not enough. But at the same time, like, TLO does thwart this. He's got +1 weapons, he's got +2 on the way, and he's going for a quicker hive. So once again, whether you decide to incorporate Swarm Host or stick with Roach Hydra, I think Vipers are always going to be great, and definitely seems to be one of the big things he's gearing towards.
Yep. I think so. That's going to be a pretty powerful push. Merry-go-round, really pretty good for it, as it is this like nice little concave. I mean, there's that ravine in the middle that kind of makes it like not so perfect, but even still, I mean, like, what was it, like one map, like Derelict Watcher?
Well, is it really a ravine? It's just like a giant hole.
Okay, it's a giant hole. You don't usually say that about terrain, but you can say it here.
It's like a sinkhole, you know? One of the giant.
But it actually goes through like the floor.
Yeah, the center of the quote-unquote Earth, as it were. Big Storm does come down. The Hydras have a lot of damage. Problem is they're really slow off a creep, as we see. Getting away from these Hydras and tanks was really difficult. TLO's still going to kill a lot of units here, but he loses a lot more gas in this fight than YoDa. YoDa just trades out a lot of minerals.
Yeah, I don't really know if I liked that push. I mean, I really would have, I think, preferred like a big gear up, like a Max Roach Hydra Viper. I think those are a lot more powerful.
Yeah.
But that, that was his choice, and he did technically trade out. I just don't think it was that good. I mean, his economy is not fantastic.
Interesting place for a third, but I guess it is fairly protected. Scanning once again. This is something we're seeing quite diligently out of YoDa. I'm actually really enjoying this. A lot of Terran players, after a certain point in the game, you're so stingy, you really don't want to be running scans on anything other than creep. But just going for scouting information, wants to make sure he doesn't get caught off guard by a Broodlord swap again, I think is probably his number one concern. Like, after that first game today, he's like, never again. So, last game, this game, we're seeing a lot of relentless scans in that main.
Yeah. As you can see, a TLO playing the longer game. What are you laughing at?
Look at this Overlord! There's nothing in anti-air! He's building turrets to try and kill the Overlord!
Yeah, that is pretty funny. But he's getting some Vikings, of course, because he wants to deal with those Vipers more so than any Overlords.
Let's see what those scans did pick up on the Vipers, so he's fully aware what's available. Tank spread is going to be key. There is a certain point, though, when you're fighting versus Terran, where abducts actually far outpower blinding clouds. If the tank spread is too good, there's a chance you don't have nearly enough blinding clouds. If the tank spread's too far, though, it could also mean there's not enough tanks in the fight to fight against the roaches anyways. So a very strange dynamic is going to come out as a dance between these two. Really cool moves to go for these suicidal contaminates out of TLO. Don't see this too often. Oh, blocks out that tank at like 44 out of 45.
TLO, I mean, that push I feel really gave him like, made him give up on the whole like maxed out, really strong push. YoDa's gonna have 2-2. YoDa's gonna have actually a really pretty good army, even against those Vipers. So TLO's playing the long Roach Hydra Viper game. Obviously, he got a 4th and he's getting +3 upgrades. Yeah,
I still wouldn't, I mean, I don't think he's in a bad spot at all. I mean, that first attack was awkward as heck. There's no getting around that.
Bad.
But,
I just think it would have been more
we don't
powerful.
have control of the game like we did in Game 1, I think is a better way to phrase that. Like, I mean, Game 1, it was so obvious that TLO was the one orchestrating everything going on in that game. This time, it's a little bit more kind of like he's biding his time. He knows he needs to get his energy up on the Vipers, waiting for those level 3 weapon upgrades to finish up. Whereas YoDa, by the way, guys, because he's investing in vehicle plating behind this, really makes me think that he's going to be going for that air swap come base number 4.
Well, he got 2 starports, so definitely.
Well, I mean, 2 starports actually isn't that. I don't think that telling this early.
3 starports telling.
Oh, is it 3? Sorry, I thought you meant he had just got 2 period. Didn't catch the 3rd one.
Who gets 2 period, Rifkin? Who?
Anytime you want to get Mass Vikings out? I don't know.
It's always 3. Don't even.
Well, you say it's always 3, but then, like, again, go back Gumio, it'll go like 5 or something. So it's kind of...
Well, it's 3 or above, but it's like, it's only 2 in
case by case basis. Yes. This command center, it looks like it's not going to go up. Nice pick off here to TLO to get around just in time. As the army tries to respond, though, does have to be a little bit careful. I mean, TLO's got a fighting force, but it's not the scariest thing you've ever seen. Not against this tank army. It's unsieged, not caught in the blinding clouds. If the Hydras die too quickly, like we see, there's not going to be any anti-air for the Banshees. Should he even be able to kill anything? In fact, we have no detection here whatsoever, so the best TLO can do in this instance is trade out for those tanks. But he kills a lot of the Hellbats.
Yeah. That was okay. I mean, the blinding clouds were actually good. You can see that TLO did not expect them to be so good, and they realized that he was going into a choke and was like, okay, definitely go for it. But he lost all of his Vipers. He lost pretty much all of his army as he's replenishing it right now. He added a couple of Swarm Hosts, which I would hope he's actually going to, like, if he's not going to go, like, full bore with Swarm Hosts, that he would just, like, siege up the 3rd while attacking that 4th, because he's pretty focused on the 4th is actually, okay, that's supposed to not be a Baneling Nest. Look to the right.
Okay, yeah, it's a scouting tool. I
think that's supposed to be like a spore crawler or spine crawler.
Actually, don't be so sick. Like, if this was specifically because YoDa's been scanning the main so much and he didn't want to see Baneling swaps or something.
You could just put it at the 3rd or something.
I know, I'm just saying, it's TLO, right? Like, you can't count this guy up for anything. We've had so many spore crawlers placed down in anticipation of Banshees. I don't think he quite thought about these Hellion run-bys becoming a problem. I mean, up to this point, he's had control, he's had pressure. There's not really been the option for YoDa to sneak around like this. So, a small moment of problem, but I mean, he picks up a couple of drones and really, honestly, not that many.
Yeah.
I do think one of the things going towards this late game, though, for TLO, I mean, we see the cool swap of Infestors. He's looking for melee upgrades now for what is possibly Banelings, Zerglings, whatever. Ultras if his heart desires. But I do think one of the key things is that as we get further in, like, he's going to eventually have to start losing these drones. He needs a bigger army supply to take on a mech force. You can't just keep resupplying on, like, 70 supply over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, the problem is that, like, Roach, Hydra, Viper... Yeah, Vipers are included, but it's really not a late-game composition. It can be, but it's not as powerful as Swarm Host in Swarm Host and that type of game, where you're going to have a big bang, because Swarm Host produce free units, and they don't have to die, really, whereas Roach Hydra is, it's supposed to trade out. So, like, TLO, like, he'd love to have a bigger army, but he'd also love to have a bank, and he doesn't have that.
So let's talk a little bit about why I don't think this strategy that won him Game 1 is going to work here in Game 3. There's a lot more air control
Case
for
A.
YoDa. Well,
look at all these Vikings.
Not just the Vikings, but the fact that we have him comfortably moving towards Ravens. This means that while TLO, like in Game 1, for those who missed it, he completely wiped out the air, no problem. His Corruptors came in, there was too many, too much, and the Vikings never stood a chance to fight. We have turrets on the ground. We're going to have point defense drones in the air. These Vikings really are not going to fear those Corruptors in the same way. But the caveat to this is, TLO has the addition of fungal growths. He's got spore crawlers out the wazoo. He can move these to the front lines. He has hydralisks. He has a little more anti-air himself. So there's a chance that he could make this work, but it's a lot less easy mode than we saw earlier today.
21-minute blue flame is rather important. Say that was a critical upgrade. No, not really.
You know what? You're making jokes, but I actually really like this. The run buys, I think, become more and more important as you start mining out. You've got to make those Hellions more cost effective because they're not going to cost you gas. Every bit of gas has to go into those Ravens, and we're not going to see tank run buys. It's going to be Hellion run buys.
The joke was that I thought, like, I was joking that it was really important that he missed out on it.
Oh, so I thought you meant that it was.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, it didn't really matter in the early game. I mean, like, those earlier Hellion run by, or yeah, Hellion run bys might have done more damage, but like, yeah, they weren't gonna help out that much against Roach Hydra.
The friendly fire is about to be very real here, folks. Tank shelling away and everything. We got Locust coming from the north side too.
Not that many Corruptors really help out here. Misses the chance to use that Broodlord.
Yeah, we got some Spore Cars coming down. They're going to have to be advanced forward, of course, a little bit. Lots of Queens for a lot of Transfuses, though. I mean, if he does this correctly, these Broodlords probably shouldn't die. But Blinding Cloud's coming down on top of the tanks. The Vipers get sniped off immediately. Here comes the Corruptors, but there's really not that many. Looking for the fungal growth. He lands it on all of the Vikings. YoDa completely trapped in this fight, but we don't have a second fungal growth to follow it up. The tanks did their job. They lived through the Blinding Clouds, and these Vikings are going to live to hold this base.
Oh, he needs more Corruptors. He needs more Corruptors. The creatures are just going to die to the tanks if they're going to be the only anti-air.
Oh my god, if he had gotten off those additional fungals, these Vikings would have been so weak. The Queens could have cleaned them up. The Hydralisk could have cleaned them up. We've got a big... You know, I said there wouldn't be tank run-bys, but I was completely wrong. Tank run-by to the north takes out a 4th base from TLO.
Oh, we're the Swarm hosts. Why aren't they doing their job?
Well, they're slowly just pushing through the middle of the map, but look at this. The Viking count actually just got halved. It was a small amount of Corruptors, but with the Queens, he was just enough.
It's easy to go down. Yeah, he lost out on a base here. He does have another one, but, you know, again, the economy not so great for, well, either player. Well, YoDa's actually pretty good. He's at 2 more bases. He retook his 3rd. He's actually looking really good. I mean, TLO had, like, a pretty good punch right there, but it was, like, that one punch.
There's moments in StarCraft 2 where I couldn't be more happy to be wrong. And seeing tank run-bys is one of those. Snipes off not 1 but 2 bases with these Panzer Generals, and looks like they're trying to escape. A couple of them might go down here as a Swarm host chase, but I mean, these are pretty fast units. TLO, though, with no money, is going to say GG, and YoDa will take the first series today, 2-1. But damn if TLO didn't put up a fight.